Yay, lions! Super exciting. We have one of the Nkahuma lionesses. Oh, sorry, hold on one sec. Can we hear the hyenas in the background? It might be a little bit too far. They're probably about 1 kilometer and a bit away from us, going whoop, whoop. The lioness hears them. All right, and it stopped. I'm not quite sure if it was loud enough for you all to hear. Nikki couldn't hear it in our final control, so I have a feeling it might be just a little bit too far. So we have got one of the lionesses from the Nkahuma Pride. You all have lovingly named her Amber Eyes because of the color of her eyes. And then one of the Birmingham males is behind the tree there. We're in a funny little spot. So we went circling, and Scott was on foot, searching, and then one of the Djuma guides, Taxon, came out and joined us, and here we are with them for your Feline Friday, our first felines of the day, I believe. Now, they're still in mating mode, and it should be coming up towards the end of the mating mode, although I have a feeling that they started a little bit earlier than normal because of the way she was smelling and the Birmingham male that found her. And when we were first starting to see them, I believe it was about 5 or 6 days ago, she was into it, but not too into it. So I'll be interested to see how into it they are. And now I believe that you got some action on the dam cam last night, as we were talking about earlier. And don't forget, everyone, we are live and interactive, so send through your questions and your comments, hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or through on the YouTube, and we love to hear from you. Now you can just see the edge of the male. He doesn't want to move too far away from her. He wants to be as close as possible. He doesn't want her to, one, get away, and they're up and moving, and I'm pretty sure we might get some action. I'm just trying to see where they go. Let me pull forward a little bit for everybody. Hold on, everyone, hold on. Careful, Senzo at the back. I'm gonna fit through my little nook here. It's a difficult little nook. It's hot on the tail of this lioness, and I think they're actually gonna pop up here on our left-hand side, possibly through this gap right over there. Please don't go behind the tree. Oh no, I think they've gone behind the tree. Let me just maneuver us as best as I possibly can. Sorry, everyone. Tricky little spot, this. And they've moved away. I'm so sorry, everybody. We are in the most horrible, dense little area. Senzo, careful of this branch. So I'm going to do my best. Okay, you okay, Sens? To get around. And they're going to go out onto the road, which is fantastic. And he's still behind her, and he's still smelling, and he's still directly in behind. So we might still get our action. Or she might just pull an Amber Eyes, as she's been doing, and not mate, because she has been in a funny mood these past few days with this mating process. And it looks like the latter rather than... We'll see just now. Don't give me that look, sir. We would like to view you. He's so annoyed she doesn't want to mate. I'm just going to stop here for now and give you a little bit of a view here. Are you okay, Senzo? Did I rip any of your body parts off? Okay. So I don't think they're going to do it. Oh, there's my hat, so sorry about that. I think that she is teasing him again, as she's been doing. This lioness has been such a difficult lioness to keep track of in terms of the actual mating, because she gives all the signs, and then she just says no. Oh, Senzo, are you saying they... Senzo is saying that while I was busy talking and driving, it looks like they did mate a little bit. We must have missed it. Mr. Senzo sits up a little bit higher than I do in the back. It was quicker than normal. But we will just have to wait again, and also hopefully reposition our vehicle to get another view in a little while. I believe the question was, is Amber Eyes mating with different Birmingham males, or is it just this male here? From what I have seen, it has just been the one male. It's not unusual for her to mate with multiple males. However, that being said, it to me is looking like the same male, but all of you that watch religiously every day, I'm sure you have a litany of screenshots that you've taken. So I think maybe all of you can have a look through at your screenshots from the ones that we saw mating at Biffleshoek Dam to the ones on Biffleshoek Cut Line, and then now this one here. And the reason why I'm saying this is that in the past week, we have seen her with a male, with a Birmingham male. Another Birmingham male has popped up with the rest of the Nkahuma Pride, and I've picked up on 2 sets of male tracks that we haven't seen those 2 males yet. They were busy following those buffalo. So it is a possibility if she finished with the last male and then is still smelling like she's an estrus, and that other male had already left, and then she's, a new male has come in from the Birmingham Coalition. It is a possibility. The probability of it is smaller than you would think. But I'm, with this lioness and the way she behaves and the way that these males and this pride behaves, I wouldn't put it past them, to be honest. It's not something that I've seen on a regular basis, but yeah. Nix, I'm so sorry. I was just busy wrapping up the other question, and I believe you sent in my ear, what is the length of period? Jasmine, you're asking what is the normal mating period for lions. Jasmine, it's 4 to 5 days. It was the normal mating period, and they do it every sort of 15 to 20 minutes for 45 seconds at a time. But this has been going on, if I'm remembering correctly, about a week now, to get our vehicle around for a really lovely view for all of you. But of course, as we know, when they do get up and moving and hopefully start mating again very shortly, they're going to change their direction. Now, I'm just hoping that all they do is go either up or down the road, because that will make our lives a little bit easier. But for now, we have 2 very sleepy, worn-out lions, as this several days of mating does tire them out, and they have a tendency not to hunt while they do so. Although we have a sneaky suspicion that halfway through, they did have a bit of a snack, just from how they looked at Biffleshoek Dam to when we found them 2 days later, and the size of their bellies was a little bit more full than what we had seen the last time. Again, not the normal behavior, but it does happen from time to time. Matt and Philip, you're saying you think that she's mated with 2 males. Matt and Philip, it's entirely possible. As I was saying before, we've had so many different gaps in between. Something I have noticed about this male, I want him to pick up his head, but we can zoom in a little bit on his left ear on our right side. You can actually see the fur that's matted down on his ear. She has really been giving him a good few wallops. When he picks up his head and turns it, there's just scratches and blood coming out from the side there. There we are. We can see that matted fur there, and you can see that gap. If we get a chance to show you, I'll show you what I mean. She's been turning around during the mating process and whacking him and getting her claws in there. You wouldn't suspect it from her as she lies here like this. Now, something that's very interesting to have a look at as well is the paw. She's showing her front left paw nicely there. And we talk about tracks and tracking often, but now you can actually physically see beautifully those 3 lobes at the back and the 4 toes, no claws. Douglas, you're curious about Amber Eyes and her litters since the Birmingham males have taken over. Douglas, from what I've heard from various different people, is that she really struggles with her litters and keeping her cubs around. That's the gist of what I've been getting. So this is my first time having a mating sequence with her and dealing with this end of it. But the last time we were chatting about this, a few of the viewers were mentioning that they've seen her mating before, but that she has trouble keeping her litter. So any of you longtime Safari Live viewers out there that would like to fill Douglas in on any of the history that you know, you're more than welcome, please, to share your... They haven't quite gotten up to do anything. He is trying very hard to show her how much he cares, and all she's doing is laying there and growling at him as he grooms her. I think he's going to take a little break and try and groom himself. Every time he goes in to lick and groom and try and reaffirm that social bond that lions love to do, she is just not taking too kindly to it. You can see her tail twitching and stiff a little bit at the back there. So he switched from grooming the back of her neck and her ear to his own paw, as we were saying, but I think she's awaiting him trying to do it again. Chitty Chatty Megs, you're asking, do they get locked up when males ejaculate? So Chitty Chatty Megs, I think you're asking, does it stay? So basically there's barbs on the penis that get stuck in there and also help to stimulate the ovulation, and so that he can also ejaculate and make sure that his genetic material carries on, like she can't pull away. And one of the reasons why lionesses tend to be, and leopard females tend to be so, what's the word, boisterous afterwards and slightly aggressive is because it is quite painful for them, the whole process. I hope that answers your question, Chitty Chatty Meg. If it doesn't, please send through a follow-up and I will do my best to answer it for you. When he's grooming his back paw just there, you can actually see that claw coming out, which we don't get to see often because they do keep them sheathed as much as possible. But that's a beautiful view there. Those claws are part of what helped them bring down their prey. So the claws that the hyenas were having earlier with Brent and that topi, they don't get stuck into the topi. If these lions had looked for those topi or had been hunting those topi, that's one of the ways they pull them down. The claws get in, stuck in there, and then they pull them down like that. Raztaz, you're curious to know how many cubs does a lioness usually have? Raztaz, they can have up to about 10. The usual that I've specifically seen is about 4 to 6, but I used to work with a lioness that routinely had 8. The 8 didn't survive. About 5 or 6 of them would survive. Shame she also had one litter where just one of them survived. And one of the reasons why they tend to have more than needed is for the survival rate. The cub mortality rate tends to be high with predators, felines in particular. But again, all circumstances are different and all scenarios are different. Jeanette, you're saying someone was commenting on the fact that she might be in false estrus, and what does that mean? So, Jeanette, the best way that I know how to describe a false estrus is that she's giving off all the pheromones like she was in estrus, like she's ready to mate, and she's giving off all indications. Even her body is sort of saying, I want you to mate. I'm kind of ready there, but she's not properly ovulating. It's entirely possible. And that could be one of the reasons why we're getting such odd behavior and why it's possibly 2 different males, depending on that. It could also just be that maybe that she internally has something that's not quite clicking the way that it should. It does happen from time to time. Can we hear her growling? Oh, she stopped. And he's given up. She was just giving these very low growls, like, please leave me alone, I'm taking my nap. And it was very, very brief. Sorry we weren't able to get that audio through to you. But you never know, it might happen again. Andy, you'd like to know how much sleep do lions need each day? Andy, in general, They sleep about 16 to 20 hours a day, but it's very dependent upon time of the year, how full they are or how hungry they are, and also sort of the heat in the day. So they tend to rest during the hottest parts of the day. The reason why I say times of the year is winter tends to be cooler for longer, so they tend to move longer then, and also for summer they tend to move less because it tends to be warmer. Today is a nice, cool, overcast morning. They do happen from time to time out here with our live and interactive show, coming to you from 2 parts of Africa, in the Mara and then here in Asabi Sands. And of course, just as you come to me, we have a tiny little bit of movement, and then it's down again sleeping. These are 2 of the laziest lions that I've seen. Sorry, energy efficient lions that I've seen in a very long time. They've got ants crawling all over them. They've lying here on the side of the road, and because it's going to rain at some point today with this cloud cover, the ant activity is actually more than normal. And you can see them. They were just around her paw, but now they're climbing along her and on her back. And it's amazing. They're not biting her. They're just moving over her. If they were biting her, she would be moving about a bit. She's definitely out for the count. Now, sometimes you all ask, do lions ever snore or dream? And I've caught lions in scenarios like this, definitely, especially male lions, snoring away. I think he's a little too hypervigilant on her behavior, but I have caught them snoring away. And then, you know, when your domesticated dog or cat sort of runs in their sleep, I've caught them doing that as well. Banana, interesting question. You're asking, would she sneak away from him while he sleeps? Now, Banana, if they weren't mating, yes, I've seen that happen often. But because her internal biology is saying that, you know, she needs to be mating with this male, she's not going to sneak too far away from him. And also, that being said, because they are mating, he's very aware of every movement that she makes. If they weren't mating, his sleep is going to be a little bit heavier. His rest is going to be a little bit heavier than it is now. So I've seen prides get up and move on, and then, you know, an hour later, the male sort of looks around and goes, oh, everybody's gone. They're not here. And then goes off and does his own thing. The males are not always with the females. You obviously, when they're mating, they're with one of the females, sort of tied to them like glue. The rest of the time, they're off patrolling their territory, hunting, and checking on the other females that they have. So these Birmingham males have the Nkuhumas, the sticks, the torchwoods, and I believe there's one other pride off the top of my head that I can think of. That being said as well, the Talamati pride has been coming in from Kruger into Biffleshoek, which is on our northern boundary, and I know they've been interacting with them as well. So there's quite a few ladies that they have to look after, as it were. Really nice bird sounds coming through and a few frogs. I'm just going to go quiet for a bit and see if all of you can hear what I can hear. So we had some francolins calling there and some foam nest frogs in the background. And some scrub robins. All right, Andy, you want to know, do the lions mind the ants? Are they bothered? And Andy, from what I can see, they're not so bothered because they're not being bitten. If they were being bitten, I think they would be bothered. And then you're also asking if lions have any predators. Andy, it's a good question. So predators don't like other predators. So let's say this lioness was on her own, and let's say she killed something like a small zebra, just hypothetically. And there was a clan of 8 hyenas or 10 hyenas that came around to this kill. They are going to be able to, in most circumstances, overpower her and chase her away. And one of the things that they'll do is they won't just try to overpower her, but they'll actively be aggressive towards her. Also, with young cubs, young lion cubs, any other predator that comes across them, from hyena, leopard, lions that aren't related to them, to mongoose, is going to try and kill that cub. As well as the fact that, let's say there's another pride of lions that wants to move into this territory, they want to expand their territory, then that can also lead to lion deaths. So they don't necessarily have predators in the fact that there's something out there to eat them, proper predation, but they do have a lot of other species interaction as well as interspecies specific interaction that makes life not. Jamie and Brent, I'm wishing you luck in finding those cheetahs so that we can carry on with our, excuse me, frog in my throat, with our Feline Friday. And hopefully we will also get some leopard luck either in the Mara or down here in Djuma. So crossing fingers and holding thumbs for the two of you up there, and for Scott and James on Djuma to carry on with leopard search, hopefully. Now, our lions have not moved since the last time you were here. We're still waiting patiently to be able to bring you the action that is a mating pair of lions. But unfortunately, it looks as if they have different plans that don't include doing anything other than having a nice big rest. So lions. Lions are one of the big five. The big five include lion, as we said, leopard, buffalo, rhino, and elephant. We do have all of the big five here where we're traversing in South Africa, as well as up in the Mara. And then you have something called the Magnificent Seven, which is the big five plus wild dog and a cheetah. We have a harder time on the property that we're on now seeing cheetah and more of a chance of seeing wild dog, as opposed to where the guys are up in the Mara. They have more of a chance of seeing cheetah and less of a chance of seeing wild dog. The wild dog numbers in the Mara are very low. I worked up there in 2010. And we had one wild dog sighting. It was a wild dog that ran through our staff camp, and everyone was super excited. It was the first wild dog they'd seen in the Conservancy in, I want to say something silly like 10 or 15 years at that point. Other places where I've worked as well, up in South Luanga, the wild dog sightings have been very intermittent. Recently, in the past year or so, a pack has sort of settled down and become resident there. So here in the Sabi Sands, we're a lot luckier. Although the numbers are not huge, we still have quite a few. Now, our lion numbers are nice and healthy and steady. As you know, we don't always see lions here on our traverse, but in the sands in general, lions are around. And there are some big prides and coalitions of lions. One of the coalitions of male lions that I wish I had gotten a chance to see back in the day was the Mapojos, who were 7 in number and were absolutely insane with their behavior. Their testosterone levels were crazy. They would kill other lions, and not only would they kill other lions, they would eat them, which was the odd part. And they sired many, many cubs, but their prides had a tendency to only go for buffalo, and buffalo there had a lot of TB, and so the TB actually limited the amount of offspring that carried on in number further into the future, although there's still some remnants there. Now, Nikki, I'm so sorry, I only got part of that question coming through. If you wouldn't be mind. Mr. Q-Tip, you're asking, why is the hippo not included in the Big Five? Mr. Q-Tip, the Big Five historically comes from big game hunting, so they are the 5 most dangerous animals to hunt. Nowadays, there's still hunting safaris that happen, but nowadays a lot of the safaris are photographic safaris, or safaris where you're not shooting an animal, you're just viewing an animal. And so they've become the 5 most elusive or charismatic creatures to see. But because historically it was from a hunting genre, the hippos spend so much time in water. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. So that is why they're not included in there. Now, hippos are known as one of the largest land mammals in Africa to kill the most humans. But the reason why that happens has more to do with how humans interact in their sphere as opposed to what hippos are doing. So in general, a hippo's safe space is the water. And they come out of the water early evening and go out and graze, and then they come back into the water early morning. Now, when you have humans that are living near some of these water bodies, rivers included, that is the same place where those humans go to fetch water for drinking and for bathing and also for washing. And so if you're in between a hippo and a safe area, which might be that river, a hippo's general tendency is to run at you with his huge jaws to get back into the water. And his jaws are strong enough to crack a crocodile in half. And so that's where the danger part of a hippo comes from. But in general, because they tend to be more in the water, it's not. That's why they're not included in the big five. Now, I've had a hippo porpoise over the bow of a boat when I was in the Delta. I have friends that have worked on the Zambezi River in Zambia who have had issues with hippo as they bring a boat into a territorial area. So there are other circumstances and other scenarios in which hippos can be dangerous. But the reason why they're not in the big five has to do with this Birmingham male is now tired of waiting around. So he is trying to initiate contact with this female. Now, usually it's the female that initiates any sort of proceedings. But this might just work, and of course they're going to go directly behind us. Sorry, everyone, I am going to try and move the vehicle as best as I can to get around so that we can see, and of course they're going into the thick bushes. Everyone, this is not our day for watching these lions mate. Oh my goodness gracious. I'm going to do the best that I can. There, we've got a small gap. There we go. And all of that waiting for about 20 seconds. Not much aggression. There she's rolling on her back, letting gravity do the work. And he's down. Quick and to the point, to say the least. All right, everybody, they're going to be lazy now again for quite some time. So I think it's not the best view of a mating that we've ever had, but it's still a wonderful view of a mating. It's still a spectacular scenario. So I think let's head back onto James with the rover, and we're going to carry on and see what else we can find.